Afternoon, and welcome to the history of Silver Springs. Here in Central Florida, tourists come to see the many theme parks that we have, for the thrilling rides and the exciting attractions. However, in Marion County, we have some simpler entertainment with Silver Springs. And Silver Springs has been an exciting place to explore for many centuries, from the time of its earliest settlers on through at least 2 centuries as a popular tourist attraction, and it still continues to appeal to travelers today. The earliest settlers to the Silver Springs area were the Seminole Indians, and they settled around the springs. It was in 1825 that the first white settlers came to the area. That was when the U.S. government sent Colonel Humphreys down to be a liaison with the Indians. And he saw the springs, and he came up with the name Silver Springs. And we have that information from a book by David Cook called Historic Ocala, the story of Ocala in Marion County. And Humphreys was excited because the Silver Springs through the river led down to the Ocklawaha and on into Tampa, and this would speed up transportation of supplies for the Army. And this eventually led to construction of Fort King. However, this would be Humphreys' undoing because he was all for the Indians to stay in the area, but the soldiers who came to Fort King were not. And Osceola was a young Seminole warrior who was upset by the new treaties the government wanted to impose on his people. And I have a picture of him right here. And Osceola was upset because there was a previous treaty in effect that would allow his people to stay at Silver Springs for another 7 years. And the story goes that the Army was trying to force Osceola to sign the new treaty, and instead of signing it, he took his knife and he thrust it through the paper, pinning it to the desk, and let them know he was not afraid to fight. And he did fight, and the dispute escalated into the Second Seminole War. Osceola led attacks on Fort King, and he was eventually captured, and the rumor goes that it was under a white surrender flag that he was captured, and he eventually died in prison of illness. And without Osceola to lead them, the Seminoles eventually were forced to leave Silver Springs, and the Army sent them out to the Everglades where they still live today. And then the white settlers came down from the north, and as they came, they sent word home about the beautiful springs in the area, and the tourists began to come. And about this same time, there were technological advances in boating, and prominent citizens started to arrive. In 1854, a man named Hubbard Hart set up a line of hotels and steamships that brought travelers down from Jacksonville. He brought famous writer Harriet Beecher Stowe, and she, of course, wrote home to her readers, and they came to see for themselves. And in 1878, a man named Hullum Jones invented the glass-bottom boat there, according to an article, Learn About Our Heritage, at www.silversprings.com/heritage, which is the official website of the Silver Springs theme park. And in 1880, even President Grant came, and the reporters that came along with him wherever he went wrote home about the beautiful wildlife they saw in the clear springs, and of course that brought more travelers to the area. And another thing that helped bring more tourists was the advent of the railroads. They started coming into Florida. And in the 1920s, a man named Shorty Davidson and his partner Carl Ray purchased the land around the headwaters of the springs and set up Nature's Theme Park, Silver Springs as we know it today. And shortly after that, Ross Allen set up his Reptile Institute there. And he was a character who could draw in the crowds, but he also did some important work by milking the venom from rattlesnakes and creating antitoxins, and this saved many lives, including his own, as he was bitten over a dozen times. And Colonel Toohey at that time started the Jungle Cruise Tour, which is still in operation today at Silver Springs, and he had the idea that he was going to bring in rhesus monkeys and put them on an island on the river. And he didn't know these monkeys were really good swimmers. So he set them up on the island, and they all swam away, and they still live in the wild up and down the coast of Florida today. And of course, the Jungle Cruise captains today love to tell how those monkeys outwitted Colonel Toohey. Silver Springs was also a good setting for many movies and television series. One of the most famous series filmed there was the Tarzan series with Johnny Weissmuller. And sometimes Ross Allen would actually step in and replace Johnny Weissmuller if there were dangerous animals involved in the scene. And Lloyd Bridges came and filmed over 100 episodes of the TV show Sea Hunt. And probably one of the most popular movies filmed here was The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Visitors who come today have 2 options. They can go to the Silver Springs theme park, or they can go right next door to the Silver River State Park. The theme park, of course, still offers the glass bottom boat rides where you can see catfish and alligators swimming among the eelgrass. There are turtles sunbathing themselves at the surface of the river, and the special breed of bird called anhinga who spread their wings to dry after they go in for a fishing trip in the water. Special events at Silver Springs include the weekend concert series. At Halloween, there's a spooky boat ride for the kids, and at Christmas, they light up the whole park with a dazzling light display. Next door, Silver River State Park gives visitors a more historical view of Marion County. There is a cracker home reconstructed on the area, and that has the architectural feature of a breezeway that circulated the hot Florida air. And special events there include the annual O'Kelly Cracker Days, where costumed reenactors talk about what life was like in colonial Florida. School children come on field trips to the museum there, where they can see mammoth bones that were dug up from the Silver River, as well as Seminole Indian artifacts. So in conclusion, Silver Springs has definitely stood the test of time as a popular place to live and to visit. It was a community center for the Native Americans. For the earliest settlers, it brought their supplies to them so they could set up their homes. And future-minded entrepreneurs were able to take advantage of the beauty and the wildlife and build the local economy. And tourists still enjoy the area today. I want to thank you for coming and listening to the history of Silver Springs. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to take a look at some of the books I have on display here. There's some spectacular photography of Silver Springs. And do you have any questions for me? Okay, well thank you so much for coming. Didn't
they do a 007 movie there too?
I think they did. I'm not sure which